Hey everybody, this is your host Big J Money here, and I am excited to announce that the J Money Talks podcast is now officially on Apple Podcasts. That's right, every episode, past, present, and future, will now be on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify and YouTube. If you are interested, go into the link in the description and follow the J Money Talks podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can also give it a rating, and share it around with everybody. Also, follow and share the Spotify link to everyone as well. Also, give that a rating, as Spotify now does ratings now. And also, be sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the J Money Talks podcast channel on YouTube. We have a lot of things coming in 2022 out with not just podcasts, but also other content as well. You don't want to miss it. Money Club. Big.
Dirty, sexy, slinky thing. Power over all with the love you bring. Spinning from your mind control. Shuffling around this deep.
Yes, sir. Check out the brand new intro to the podcast. Your boy is stepping up this year in 2022. Anyways, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the brand new episode of the J Money Talks podcast. This is the first episode of the year of 2022 and is episode number 24. So this is a Kobe episode number 2. So here we go. We got a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of things I've talked about. We actually did an episode on New Year's Eve. Same thing. We actually did multiple episodes on multiple streams on this J Money Talks podcast channel. We reacted to the Alabama-Cincinnati college football playoff, both football playoff games, as well as doing a live episode. We did a lot of things during New Year's Eve. So if you actually attended any of the free live streams, wherever you joined one of them or you joined all 3 of them at one time, thank you guys very much for your support, for joining in. We have a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to cover. First of all, one of the things we mentioned was about New Year's resolutions on the podcast, and a lot of things. So, what is going on with me right now? Like now, this week, I actually am pretty much tired. I'm a little kind of a little exhausted, a little beat up, mainly because I've been working. I'm starting to go back to the gym, and gym is kind of kicking my ass a little bit. I won't say a little bit. Also, and everything is, I've been trying to at least walk a good amount. Try to at least get a 5,000 steps in minimum every day. So I say this: how's my week gone? The first week of my Year's resolution so far. First 3 days gone good, until Thursday we actually end up having snowfall constantly hit us every day, and it's hit us, and basically somehow our city did not be prepared for. I guess not be prepared yet. We kind of knew about it for days, and they hardly put snow down at all. And basically, when the snowfall did become a thing, they actually let the kids out at 11 o'clock, early as hell. Right at time of snowfall, and Montovers. It didn't, and the thing is, it did not rain at all. There's the key things about it is there was no rain. It was pretty much plain sunny and cloudy. They had ample time to at least that Wednesday morning, that Thursday morning, early Thursday morning, to just put a little salt down, maybe put that brine solution on the roads, and they did not, they hardly ever did that shit. So roads are kind of horrendous. I say downtown's kind of horrendous. Basically, I have not I've been inside this whole apartment since the last time since I worked out Wednesday and I stayed inside. Like Thursday's a kind of a light day, a recovery type day, type thing. So I'm pretty much just chilling. I'm probably trying to get my 5,000 steps in, and I did not do that. So I said first 3 days I actually did pretty good. I actually did get my 5,000 plus steps in, but this week I didn't. Actually, how many did I get? Actually, I can look that up right now. Actually, look that up right now because my phone is pretty much my pedometer. It did have something, but it broke. How many do I have? 239 steps. So yeah, I didn't have much, but like the past 3 days, I had like Monday 6,022 steps, Tuesday 6,402 steps, Wednesday 6,488. So I was getting like at least 6,000. So yeah, it is. At this point, I'm like, it is what it is. Like it's just gonna be. I mean, it is Friday, so I might do something depending on how. Nah, screw it. I'll probably wait till tomorrow. Like I'm probably gonna do something when I get off. Just get done recording. Like I'm probably gonna do, since today's pretty much me doing like legs. I'll probably do some squats and like some lunges in the house. So some lunges in the house mainly. So that's not that big of a deal. And then probably, I guess, to find some way of doing cardio, I'll probably be. I can like shadow box in. I can do like some shadow boxing stuff in my apartment. It's not. It's kind of a very decent sized apartment, so I'll probably do something like that. Whew. So yeah, next main thing is try to drink a ton more water. Try to at least get a glass. Try to get a full. Then basically, this is like halfway full because I actually didn't really refill it last night. So yeah, I'll probably. So I think I have basically about to drink this, and then refill this up again and try to drink the next 30. So my goal is to get like 30. At least 2 bottles, and this fills up to 30 ounces, so it's what it is. so at least get to like 60 at least, so it's better than nothing. So yeah, how am I doing in terms of weight? I'm kind of alright. I started Monday at like 296.2. I think Tuesday lost like 2 pounds. Tuesday and Wednesday. Between like Tuesday and Wednesday, it kind of lost some weight. Some cases, like it's kind of rebounding, but it's actually not bad. I'm like, I think the big thing is for me is just try to not eat a lot of bad stuff. Let me just say. Thursday, I kind of just like, because of the snow, I just said, you know what, fuck it, I just want pizza and wings and probably pasta. So I ordered Domino's. So yeah, that was bad. So yeah, I pretty much just had my one bad day be Thursday, so I'll just bounce back. So I'm bounce back today. So today and like the rest of the weekend, probably fast for doing my fasting and all that stuff. So I'm just I don't know why I'm out talking, having a hard time talking. My brain's kind of in a fog. So I'm sorry, because I try to get up at least 9 a.m. in order to like go to the gym, do like my personal stuff, like probably like writing like pretty much my own like story stuff with Meteor Boy, and like get a couple other things done. I've been working on my resume so I can go, because I'm actually trying to look for another job. Basically, work on getting my regular day job. Basically, start working a different, pretty much get work a job that's like pays more and like works 9 hours. Because I'm trying to save money to actually move out of his apartment. Because yeah, here's the thing about this apartment. For a one bedroom apartment, it's not bad for the price. It's like what I'm paying for. So I'm paying like $575 a month for this one bedroom apartment. And the location where I'm at is good. It's just trying. It's just the main thing is I have having issues with roaches. Pretty much there are some things that need to be fixed and or kept up, need to be taken out, and hasn't been done yet. Another thing is the like one of the hard issues about this place is because the people who own this apartment complex is based mostly in Indiana, like right across the bridge. So try and like get stuff done, get my rent paid up. I have to travel to Indiana, pretty much my dad picking me up and driving me to Indiana. And I know what you're thinking, like, don't you have a driver's license or a car? Sadly, no, because I had a learner's permit, and I let that expire. So I actually need to renew my learner's permit and get my driver's license. I have insurance. I have interest. I mean, not insurance. I mean interest in in getting my learner's permit again and learning to drive and actually get my driver's license. So, yeah, I need to do that. So, one thing is, like, I can afford. It's like one of the few apartments that I can afford at this price range. So that's why basically going to work at a newer job so I can save money on and afford a much more better apartment. That's one. Number two. Work on my own projects and stuff, and like do my own things, and eventually start saving money and actually use that money to pay for other bills, pay for a few other bills, pay off some debts, basically some credit cards, some basic credit cards. Some stuff is like a personal loan. Some things are like other bills and such. So let's just say I have a lot on my plate here. So let's just say I'm working on it, and is it one of those things about being an adult, living on your own. So if you're at least 18, as it is. If you are thinking at 18, like, oh, it can't be that bad. It can be bad if you don't have some form of game plan. So, I'll say this to anyone at the age of 18 that's looking to live on their own. Game plan have a simple, plain plan of action to live on your own before you decide to move out of mom and dad's basement or whatever. So, and there's no shame if you staying with your parents later, even after 18. It's no issue of that at all. Like, don't be ashamed of doing it. I've did that. Because I lived with my family until I was 21 and basically wanted to get my own. One was interested in getting my own place, saving up for my own place. Ended up having my own place with my sister at 22, 21, and basically within a year I pretty much got evicted. And there's nothing wrong with you moving back in with your parents at 22, and then at 20 and living with them for 2 years, start saving money and actually coming up with a plan of living on your own again. Because at this time around, I'm probably not getting evicted. I'm just pretty much going to pay off the rest of the leases and find another place that's better than the situation I'm at. So, because trying to call them for pretty much issues is sort of like pulling teeth out. Pulling teeth, because every time I call them, either no one's at that office, they have a 24-hour maintenance number, which actually does not work whatsoever. There are roaches, plenty of them. There are plenty of maintenance stuff that is an issue. Like, for example, I'm dealing with like a door, like a sliding door, that's pretty much off its track, which honestly just needs to get replaced. I did mention like this dishwasher. It did work at first, and then it just stopped working. I think he said something about the pump wasn't working properly, which usually drains water out. I mean, there were some cabinet doors that are pretty much off hinge, and also I think I've mentioned the roach thing. That was number one thing, and that was something I mentioned like right when I was signing the lease papers. Like I said, because right before I moved in here, because my next door neighbor is actually my older sister, and this was before I moved in here, and right as this apartment was available, that this window right behind me, there was a hole in one of those windows, and I'm certain and here's the thing, like the person who lived here prior had like food and like a bunch of stuff in here that was pretty much left out, and pretty much roaches probably came into this apartment and pretty much ran roughshod. Like, I pretty much deal with roaches, a ton of roaches, all the time because 99% of them pretty much in the kitchen here. Some of them are crawling around. Some of them get on this dining room table. Like, some of them are probably on this thing as I'm recording right this second. Pretty much, I have some on this workstation, my workstation, which is right over here. I would pretty much see them constantly on like the keyboard. I'm typing stuff on. I have them in the bathroom. I have some some are in the bedroom. Like, I'll either wake up or I find them crawling on my bed. Literally on my bed. So, either on my bed or on me while I'm sleeping in the bed. So, this has been a thing that's been an issue for a while now. I don't know if I did not sign up for this. I signed up for me living in this apartment. I didn't sign up for me and living with roaches. And if I was in the leasing papers, how come I shouldn't be paying full this bill? So it says like, where the roaches part of rent then? The roaches owe me. So, I make some money. If not, I'm gonna need you to do y'all job and evict these motherfuckers out of my apartment. Because this is too much. This is too much. And yeah, it's like the property management company, I'm not gonna put their name out there. Let's just say they are notorious for pretty much for being bad. So let's just say they pretty much made the first property managers of the last apartment I lived in way better in comparison. I mean, they're bad, don't get me wrong, but they are like a step above them. Like, they actually made the first property managers, like the managers, like a 5-star luxury hotel. Like, that's how bad these guys are. So, I'm probably going to be moving out if in the next, hopefully within the next 3 or 4 months. My sister, she's going to be trying to leave next month, 2 months at best. She's actually thinking of renting a house. She's going to be renting a house pretty much because my sister has a German Shepherd puppy who's like 7 months old. By the way, you may have seen her actually in the recent, during the live stream, because I actually brought her in on the last live stream during the Michigan-Georgia game. Brought her on just to say hi to her. Because I actually had a couple points. Had to take her out to, use the restroom. So yeah, that's something. Don't get me wrong, I like the apartment, I like the area. It's just, there are a lot of, I just don't like the property management people. So, keep that in mind. The apartment's good. It's good for price I'm paying. I like the area I'm at. It's pretty much 70% suburban, 30% hood, because I'm living like practically right downtown, pretty much downtown, nearby U of L's campus. So I'm in that neighborhood. I'm like right across the street from like a police precinct. So if like anyone decided to break into the apartment, I can just call someone. I can call 911, and I'm certain a police officer can be there within 5 minutes, within at least 5 minutes or less. So I'm good. Like, I know I'm straight. And like going out to eat is probably not hard because there's like a plenty of restaurants like right. I'm within 5 feet from like a restaurant. Like if I want, like I don't really need Domino's or Papa John's really. If I want pizza, I can actually order. I can just go to, cause I live nearby a pizza place like literally 1 or 2 blocks down, and I can just place an order and pick it up like easily. I'm nearby like a few convenience stores. I'm like I can buy like a Jamaican restaurant, nearby like a Chinese restaurant. Like I'm like me. I'll say this. That's why one of the things is kind of trying to not eat out as much. That's why, let's just say when I moved here, let's just say eating out was kind of easy to do because I'm nearby a lot of places. And yeah, now I'm not trying to do that much. Trying to at least limit it to at least on Sundays at best, or maybe at least maybe once in a few days. Like just yesterday, I just ordered like Domino's. Do like that like one time, maybe at least 1 or 2 times, and then the rest of the time be clean. Like I'm trying to be like 85% clean, 15% dirty. So I was like I can just be clean Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which is like 3 days straight. Fall off once, and then I can just bounce back today and tomorrow, and then still have a cheat meal on Sunday. So that's kind of the factoring thing there. But yeah, that's not that big of a deal. I'm not that crazy over it. So I'm good. So far I'm good. I'm pretty much just enjoying myself, enjoying like the enjoying myself in like, but I like the apartment. Just apartment management people screw me over. I'm pretty much just done with it. So it is what it is. Guys, it is what it is. All right, let's move on to some important matters. I guess let's talk about. I guess we'll talk about Deportes. Let's start with. I guess I'll talk about little Deportes real quick. I guess the number one thing is, of course, NFL. This is pretty much, we have come towards the very, very end of the playoffs. Of the NFL playoffs. Okay, so this week, because right now we already have, because in the end, so we have 11 playoff spots already have been clinched. Right now there are 2, because the final wildcard spots for the NFC and the AFC is available, and there's a couple division titles left on the line. So there are 6 teams already clinched. The Packers are going to be the number 1 seed and are the AFC North champs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have clinched the South, and the Dallas Cowboys have clinched the East. The NFC title is up for grabs between the Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams. The goal is, I think the current leader for that is the Rams. Hold that top seat, hold the AFC West title and the number 2 seed. Cardinals have clinched a playoff berth, but they're going to be at the 5 seed. So that means in order for Arizona to take the NFC West, they would have to, 1, beat the Seattle Seahawks at home, and for the LA Rams to lose to the San Francisco 49ers, which is going to be on Sunday. And then there is the final NFC wildcard spot, which is available. Right now, the Eagles already hold that. So right now, the last wildcard spot is on the line, and that is held by the San Francisco 49ers. So in order for that to happen, they would either A, have to beat the Rams. In order to stay in the playoffs. Because if not, the teams that are available, already available, is the Saints. The other team that's available is the Saints. In order for 49ers to get in, they would either have to A, clinch with either a win, or the Saints to lose to the Atlanta Falcons. In order for the Saints to make it to the playoffs, they would need a win and a 49ers loss to the Rams. And for the NFC title, same thing. Cardinals need to clinch the West with NFC West with a win and a Rams loss. And the Rams need to clinch the NFC West with a win or a Cardinals loss. So that is cleared. Right now we have 5 teams that are already clinched playoff berths in the AFC. Titans got the first, are pretty much going to be the number 1 seed. Practically have the AFC number 1 seed. They would get the first round bye. Chiefs are already clinched the AFC West. They're the 2nd seed. The Bengals are currently the free seed and are the AFC North champions. And the Bills and the Patriots are both are both contending for the AFC East title. The Bills can clinch it with a win or Patriots loss, and the Patriots can clinch with a win and a Bills loss. Patriots face off against the Miami Dolphins in Miami, and as recent history has told us that, so it's like the Patriots in Miami somehow find ways of losing these games when they're playing against the Dolphins in Miami. It's a weird thing. It gets weird sometimes. And then there is free games. And then there are still an AFC wildcard spot available. Two. In fact, two actually. In order for multiple clips, 4 multiple scenarios have to happen in order to clinch a playoff berth. For the Colts, they are win and you're in. For the Raiders, win and you're in. And for the Chargers, a win or a tie and you're in. So, the teams that need to win and have to have some miracles is this. For the Steelers, they need to win, the Colts to lose, and the Chargers in the Raiders game to not end in some form of tie. In a tie. And the last possible team is the Baltimore Ravens, who have a chance to make it to the playoff berth. They need to do is have a win, have the Colts lose, the Chargers lose, and the Dolphins to lose. In the games, so that means this. Basically, in order if, my team, the Ravens, to get in, they have to beat this Pittsburgh Steelers in Baltimore at 1 o'clock. Then they have to, at the same time that game ends, they're hoping the Jacksonville Jaguars have clinched the upset, pretty much the mother of upsets against the Colts. Then they'll have to wait at 4:25 to see the Patriots take on the Dolphins, and hopefully the Patriots beat the Dolphins in Miami. And then finally, at 8:20 p.m., they have to watch the LA Chargers and Raiders play and hope the Raiders win against the Chargers. Basically, if you're a Ravens fan, basically you are correctly, if you are watching this, I am wondering like how much, that's actually, so this is like, if you're a Ravens fan and this is a parlay of how you get if you bet on a parlay for this, it is Ravens win, Jaguars win, Raiders win, and a Patriots win is how you would need in order to clinch a playoff berth. For the Steelers, it's pretty much simply a win, Colts beating the Jaguars beating the Colts, and the Chargers Raiders game's not ending in some tie. Just one of y'all has to win, and we are in. So, yeah, that's a crazy thing. So the most possible ones is probably either the Colts pretty much getting in, which will probably eliminate us, and the Steelers, either way, if we win, and the Colts somehow still win, we're still out by default. So, it don't matter, we're still eliminated by default. Because we need them to lose. So, Chargers losing to the Raiders, which I'm kind of hoping, I'm thinking the Raiders might have a chance in that one. Especially since that is in Vegas. Yeah, that's in Vegas. So it's a home game there. And pretty much Patriots beating the Dolphins. I'm thinking they can beat the Dolphins. But the thing about games like this, somehow crazier things have happened. So, but there's the thing about last game, there's a lot of stakes in this thing somehow. A lot of things can go good, some things can go bad. I'm just like at this point, my thing is just with this season, I'm like, I say it's after watching the season and like watching these injuries and stuff happen. Even if the Ravens don't make it in, I still kind of want them to at least beat. Only thing I'm just waiting at this point is like Ravens kind of shouldn't have been in this situation, because the Ravens have lost 5 straight. 3 out of those 5 games were pretty much 1-point losses. For example, if we look at I say Patriots Steelers, I say the first drive. If the first drive didn't get any in them getting intercepted in the end zone, that right there, and then also if that ended with them scoring a touchdown or a field goal, the possibility of them having to go for 2 at the end to beat them wouldn't have existed. Same thing with the Packers. Like the first drive, we went down the field and we decided to go for it on 4th and goal. And in a game we're starting, and this is our second start with our backup QB, Tyler Huntley. Instead of going for it, we could have just kicked a field goal. We would have been up 3. And if the Packers drive ended in what we did was I think a 3 and out, and we went down the field again and scored another touchdown, we would have been up already 10-0. Actually, we would have been up 17-0, because then I think another drive, because I think 2 drives back to back we scored 2 touchdowns. So we were already, no, I think at that point we were up 17-7. We were up, I think we were up 14-7 at halftime. But if we just kicked a field goal first drive, went down the field, scored a touchdown, or a field goal second drive, we would have been up 21-7. And then at the end, we would have won 34. We would have won 34-31 or 30. I say 30. What would it have been? 42-31 or something like that. On all honesty, there were a couple. If we weren't aggressive in that game where we actually had to do things, we would have won that one. The Browns game, I think if we actually, I don't have much about the Browns game. I think if we didn't go for 2 on 1, I think on one position we went for 2 and we failed. And I think we failed. So there are multiple things if you, I don't remember much about the Browns, how we kind of lost that game there. But but those two big games Pittsburgh, the first Pittsburgh game, we won that game in Pittsburgh and won the Green Bay game in Baltimore. If we had 2 of those losses changed up. And I think recently the Rams game, if we just actually did better if our offense was better, if we just change any of those at least 2 of those free games, or possibly all 3 of those losses, and convert those things to wins, we wouldn't be talking about the possibility of we wouldn't be needing this game to win. And basically all of these random things, especially we're depending on the Jaguars, who are 2-14, who's pretty much has an interim head coach, and is going up against the Colts, Indianapolis Colts, who's pretty much already guaranteed dang near guaranteed a win. Who's pretty much guaranteed themselves a win. Pretty much guaranteed themselves by simply just playing and winning. And I'm thinking they can beat the Colts easily. So, in other words, congratulations. So, congratulations to So, my thing is this. Who's going to get in? I'm guessing it's going to be the Colts, and probably, I'm going to guess, because if the Colts win, they retain themselves as a 6 seed, I think. Because I think if the Patriots lose, because if the Patriots lose, they actually would get, because the Patriots lose, I think if the Patriots lose to this one, and I think if the Colts win, I think they would move up one. They would move up one, so that means the Patriots will stay in, and basically that means whatever happens at this point, I'm going to guess the winning team will be a 7 seed. Which means winners going to face off against get curb stomped by the Chiefs, basically. So, I'm going to guess it's going to be, I think it's going to be I'll say Chargers. I'm going to guess Chargers, basically. I'm going to guess Chargers will move on to face off against Kansas City. Because actually, number 1 seed's still up for grabs, actually. Because for following needs to happen, because for the Titans clinching the 1 seed is simple win and a clinch. The 1 seed. Chiefs can clinch with a win and Titans loss. Bengals clinch with a Titans loss, a Chiefs loss, and or a Patriots loss, or they win, Titans lose, Chiefs lose, and Bills win. And a Bills win over the Jets, which that seems like a more likely scenario, which could happen if that is the case for Cincinnati, because they start at 1, and then they just gotta watch pretty much what they watch Saturday, because actually Saturday the Chiefs face off against the Broncos Saturday. And the Cowboys face the Eagles on Saturday night. And both those are on NBC. Or, not NBC. ABC and ESPN. So, basically, they get... So, whatever results happen on Saturday determines like the number 1 seed, technically. So it means for the... So somehow, some spots are kind of, some stuff is for playoff positioning, some stuff is for everything else. Basically, so I don't know much. I'm just saying this to me. I'm like the Ravens. Ravens sadly just screwed themselves out of pretty much football, out of the playoffs already. I mean, the only thing now is just this week is pretty much beating the Steelers. And this is, speaking of that, we got to talk about this Sunday. We got to talk about this Sunday's game is pretty much, in the eyes of everyone else, this is the end of an era. This is going to be the end of an era. I'm calling it as the end of an era because this is pretty much the very end of Ben Roethlisberger's probably illustrious career. The game is at 1 o'clock on CBS. And in the betting line, the Ravens are the favorites by 5.5 points. In the series record, Steelers lead this series 31-24. The last game was December 5th as the Steelers beat the Ravens 20-19. And the Steelers actually came back from, I believe 10 points down. And they actually was down 10 and actually came back. And Steelers had a chance to at least cut down, was able to run down the field and score a touchdown, but were not able to convert on the 2-point conversion. So, yes, here it is. Ravens missed a 2-for-1 conversion with 12 seconds left in this game. In the last game, this is between the two coaches. The 30, which will be the 31st meeting between Mike Tomlin, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, and Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. This will tie Curly Lembeau and Steve Owen for the second most meetings between two coaches. And also, this meeting also includes playoff games, which will tie it for second most in league history. So that means next year's game will break it, and then the only one that will be left is Lembeau and George Halas, with the record, who has the record at 49 meetings. So again, right here, this is Steelers can make playoffs with a victory over the Ravens, combined with an Indianapolis loss and a Miami loss, and it doesn't matter how the game, who wins between LA and Vegas, because that game just has to not end in a tie. Not in a tie. So this is possibly the final game of Ben Roethlisberger's career. This is his 247th start. This will be 18th year in the league. Roethlisberger is 16-10 during the regular season against the Ravens, 2-1 in the playoffs. It says here, in the last meeting, Ben threw two fourth quarter touchdowns at Heinz Field as the Steelers rally from a 10-point deficit. Ben Roethlisberger is going to end as the most sacked QB in the history of the league. He's going to enter this Sunday with 61 of the 553 sacks he's endured, coming at the hands of Ravens defense. Regardless outcome, the Steelers will finish 500 or better for the 18th straight year, longest streak in the NFL, and pretty much keeps the streak of. It will actually keep the streak of. Will keep the streak of a winning record with Mike Tomlin. In order for the Ravens to make it to the playoffs, they need a win, loss by the Chargers and Colts, and a loss or tie by the Dolphins. So it doesn't. So basically, it's just either Patriots can win or tie in order for. So that's sort of scenarios for the Ravens. The Ravens have played a league-high 8 games decided by 3 points or less, and they have won 4 and 4. The 4 losses combined by a combined 5 points have all occurred during their 5-game losing streak. The goal is for the Ravens. Mark Andrews is 140 records, 40 yards behind the record set by a tight end last season, which was set last season by Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mark Andrews has 1,276 yards, receiving yards. He has actually broke the Ravens' single season record for yards for a tight end last week against the LA Rams. And so far, there have been 4 players that have started every game for the injury-plagued Ravens so far, which is linebacker Tyus Bowser, linebacker Patrick Queen, tackle Alejandro Villanueva, and guard Kelvin Seitler. So that's actually everything. As I say, this is the last game of the season of the career of Ben Roethlisberger. I possibly believe, according to a lot of players, a lot of things, this could be the end of also a couple other players as well. Among them is possibly the end of a career of possibly Jimmy Smith. I believe. Where is Jimmy Smith? He's a cornerback. Where is he? is possibly the end of a career of Jimmy Smith, and possibly, as say by some people, actually I've heard this is probably the last game of Calais Campbell's. Could be the end of the line for Calais Campbell as well, because he's been in the league since 2008, and he's coming up, and he's at 35 years old, and this could be towards the end of the road for, I've heard by some people, the end of his road, end of the road for him. Same thing, I believe, with Jimmy Smith. He's been with us since 2011, so this pretty much might be the end of an 11-year career with him. So it is possibly the end of a road for him. He's been like kind of good. He's been Jimmy Smith. He's been pretty good. He's had points in his career where he's been good and he's been injured, but he's also had injuries. Has had injuries before in the past, and he's been injured before in the past. So it is, but yeah, he's been ready to. But I think it's been a good road, and I think it's probably best. He's been. Hopefully, I'm thinking like this time frame, he's gonna be. This will be the end for him. And Calais Campbell, he's been in the league since 2008, so it wouldn't be surprising if he's coming up towards the end of his career as well. So those are going to be two big players that might be reaching the end. I don't know if this is. I don't know how many years we signed him. We signed him. I think it was 2 years. I believe. I think it's been 2 years with Calais Campbell. I believe. I think it's 2. Because I believe it's been like 2. Because I think we signed him to a 2-year deal. I believe 2 years. Actually, here it is. Let me look. Yeah, we signed him because we got him via a trade. Getting him a trade with the Jaguars in 2020. And this is 20. Yeah, March 15, 2020. March 2020, we ended up trading for Calais Campbell. We ended up acquiring Calais Campbell from the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 5th round pick. He pretty much was going to make $15 million. The salary cap figure would be $17.5 million. And we got him for the last year of his 4-year, $60 million contract extension of his 60-year $60 million contract that he signed in March of 2017. And we end up signing him, adding another year to that contract through the 2021 season. So this is going to be. So this might be. This sadly could be the end, because I think he's been a good. He's good as like a great defensive leader, and he has kind of helped rebuild that defense. Has helped build that defense. Play a role in helping out with stopping the run. That was kind of a reason we kind of got him, because of what happened to us with the Titans, when the Titans pretty much beat us in the first playoff game, and pretty much we just didn't have any much of a run stopping defense our run stopping defense was just beaten up, was just pretty much abused. So yeah, this is sadly the end of. So this could be like, I don't know if he'll play. I'm probably sure he'll probably play some more, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is that point where he decides, if Campbell decides to retire. Jimmy Smith, this is probably, I mean, he's been around for a while, but I don't know if this is like, so I think because we end up signing him to an extension like last year. Yeah, we signed him to another deal for this upcoming season, which is for an upcoming season. It's a 1 year. It's a 1 year extension. It was worth up to $5 million. Basically, $2.2 million, fully guaranteed, $500,000 signing bonus, and $2.5 million in playing time incentives that are considered unlikely to be earned. Yeah, because he was scheduled to be a free agent at the end of the season after signing a 1 year, $3.5 million extension. He was a former starter. He is, but he's been played a big role because he will be known as for making probably one of the biggest plays of the Ravens Super Bowl victory over the San Francisco 49ers back in 2013. He was the quarterback that broke up a pass that was intended for Michael Crabtree on 4th and goal, which pretty much helped seal the Super Bowl game and pretty much gave Ray Lewis the proper send-off. So he will be known as a hero for Ravens fans, but he's had injuries over a while. It just but one of those things is he's had injuries. He used to be a starter, but now that we've had Tavion Young has come back, which is actually luckily for him, he's been among the healthiest among this injury depleted Ravens team. This injury depleted Ravens team. He's been among the healthiest. After a season where we've lost pretty much Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, Darius Washington, Deshaun Elliott, a bunch of players, sent to IR. One thing we respect is also this season we've had a lot of players be out because of injuries. And it's unfortunate. Been unfortunate. So, but I'm just appreciative of the fact that we actually have had that. I mean, so far we've ended up being ended up going 8-8 this year. So, third in the. I mean, for the fact we were 8-8 so far, pretty much we ended up being 8-8. Sadly, the sad chances if we actually were able to clinch a couple more games, we would be 10-6, maybe 11-5, if we are able. We still are but I say this overall, this has been a good year so far for Ravens. Whatever I'm at this point, whatever happens at this point now is it is what it is. I can't say much about it. We made it this far. I'm hoping is now this next season is pretty much we just need to basically just hope for next year. That's pretty much my MO about it is just now, let's just hope for next year. That's pretty much my That's all I'm going to say about that. So, I'm going to say that this year, I'm going to give it. That's why I'm hoping the Ravens win this one, close this year on a high note, and get better. Like, let's just hopefully next season, like, we'll have players. Everyone's healthier. Hopefully this time around we actually have. Hopefully we got 10 draft picks in like the first 5 rounds. So let's use those picks to get shore up the offensive line some more. Defensive line. I say get a couple other things. What are the draft picks? Let me see if we can find NFL draft. Yeah, here it is. Let's see if we can look at the draft order. Is there a draft order? It's like a teams here. Let me see. Teams. Nothing's popped up here. Let's try rounds. I don't want to look at the picks. I'm not trying to do selections. I'm just trying to figure out the order. Or that won't be up till. I guess since it won't be up until next. I guess it won't be up until like after this season. So I'm gonna wait till after. Actually, I'm gonna wait. We'll probably do something like later on. But there are some announced. But there have been like players that have been that have called their intentions, announced their intentions. Like for example, Aiden Hutchinson from Notre Dame is announced he's going to draft. Sauce Gardner, he announced he's going to draft, and Monts Evers. So Montivers. Let's see. The big one is right now. Like I say, speaking of NFL, we gotta talk about, of course. I guess we should talk about, of course, the whole thing about Antonio Brown. Is Antonio Brown and that whole debacle of that manner, which, if you don't know what happened, Antonio Brown on Sunday, Antonio Brown, he pretty much had possibly one of the biggest reactions that we've seen. Pretty much decided to get himself on the news again with AB, and that is, well, he pretty much got mad. It was basically because it's either, now according to the Bucks, he was upset at halftime that he was not getting he wasn't getting the ball enough, and he wasn't doing what he needed to do. He wasn't getting his chance of getting the ball, and he pretty much just had a hissy fit. Kind of at halftime. Then it was like some point around the third quarter, he kind of was saying he was injured, and like somehow like coaches were, according to AB, he said like he had his ankle injury, but coaches were trying to like force him to play despite this ankle injury, and he got upset, got hot, and then basically, dude, if you haven't seen the footage, he pretty much takes his jersey off. He pretty much took off like this warm-up shirt, like tank top, took that off, pretty much just jogged and just walked off the field. And like he was at one point, he was on the end zone, he was jumping, like high-fiving, just saying peace out everybody, and this crowd kind of got the high out. But speaking of which, the Bucks were playing the Jets at MetLife Stadium. So he was pretty much chanting to pretty much Jets fans, and he ran off. And NFL ran with this. Pretty much NFL media was thinking like, well, this is Antonio Brown being a diva again. Pretty much thinking like he's making this about him, which is pretty much like the norm of stuff that happens. He pretty much has done this a ton of times. All I will say is like I think since I say this, but something has to be wrong with Antonio Brown. Do I think there is something wrong with him? I'm kind of like on the boat like thinking like something had to have happened to him because if you don't know what happened in the 2015-2016 NFL playoffs, this is when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers were taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in a wild card. And this was towards the end of the game. The Steelers were down over the Bengals. Down by like, I think, 15. I believe it was 16-15 Bengals. So, basically, the Steelers were trying to, it was past 2-minute warning, fourth quarter. Steelers were trying to get down the field in order to kick a field goal and take the game, steal this game from Bengals. So, I believe this was third and 10, third and like 15. Third and 15 inside Steelers territory, still inside Steelers territory. Ben throws a pass to Antonio Brown. It goes over his head, and as he was coming down, Vontaze Burfict comes through and just hits Brown at his helmet to helmet, and it knocks him out. Pretty much knocks him out. It gave Antonio Brown a concussion, and the thing about, if you've never seen a hit, I can put it up right now on you'll pretty much see this on the YouTube channel. On YouTube, you can find this. You can find the clip basically anywhere from various angles. It is very easy to find. I'm gonna please play a clip right now, and you'll see it right here. And it is this brutal hit. It is a hit that is just completely unwarranted. Like, it's completely unwarranted. It is basically a hit that pretty much knocked him out. Took him out of the next game for the Steelers. Pretty much took him out of the next game. But from that hit to that point, something happened to, I believe, AB somewhat subconsciously, either subconsciously, mentally, like psychologically, something happened to AB that warranted him doing all these stupid, like these acts, which he does, and are increasingly over the top. Like, for example, like him throwing like furniture off a 14th floor balcony at an apartment, him pretty much assaulting people, him not paying for, I don't know if that's really him, but something about him mentally or psychologically pretty much has affected him from that hit. And I think we're kind of seeing the signs potentially of CTE. And now we don't know if it is CTE until he's dead, but I think right now, like seeing that hit and concussions, what happens to you, it is a sign that something is clearly wrong with him. Now wondering what happened after Sunday's game between the Jets and Buccaneers, which Buccaneers actually won 28-24 after they were down like 24-10, down the entire game, down 24-10. But we all know, Patriots have Tom Brady. They're gonna find a way back into this game. They're gonna find a way to win that game. So So, basically, Bruce Arians says like AB's done. He's not playing. He's no longer a Buck. Tom Brady, he takes a more human approach. We really don't know what's wrong with him. We're just working with however we can with him. Nice human response. Like, one of the things about Tom Brady you gotta respect is in interviews he handles situations with class and respect. So, respect to him for staying professional. So, what do I think is going to happen with AB? Now, AB over the past couple of days has came out with some receipts about like he actually had his ankle injury. He's had like text messages trying to explain to like not just Bruce Arians but also various members of the Buccaneers staff that I have this ankle injury, and basically like AB himself actually went to a top doctor and did some MRIs and X-rays, and it showed like there was like some ligaments broken, like there was like some bones, like his ankle's like fractured, like basically it was that bad that one like he shouldn't like have played at all, like that game at all, but he somehow he said that he was prescribed some painkiller, which is like one of those big dangerous painkillers, which is like one of those painkillers like they kind of like super strong and it's something that is dangerous, but we kind of know like NFL somewhat. I mean, we all know like NFL pretty much. I'm pretty much sure those team doctors in the NFL, pretty much give those guys some form of strong painkillers or some form of steroids because let's be real, if you've seen how NFL players get hit all the time, some of those plays you shouldn't really be able to come back into a game for. Like usually, some stuff you're out for like you should be out of the game in general or out of the game in general, but somehow, some way, some of them painkillers pretty much do stuff. So there was one of those cases, and there were most receipts. Right now, like recently, like I think yesterday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers decided to did not try to release Antonio Brown. He was still under contract with them. But on Thursday, they actually announced, like, because of AB putting out all of these receipts, NFL decided to release him because of this. And, like, so there's a thing here that's kind of questionable. Like, it was AB injured because one beforehand, he was still, like, running routes, and he was, like, actually, and as he was running out, he was, like, jumping up and down and kind of jogging, was able to, like, jog off into the locker room. Like, there is, like, injuries. Like, there are certain things that is crazy. Like, there are certain things, like, you still, if you were that injured, your ankle was that bad, like, you should hardly be, like, walking with, like, some form of a limp or something. Like, you should be, like, a noticeable limp. Some form of, like, a noticeable limp. But you were just, like, jogging, looked like nothing happened. So, I don't know. But, to me, it's still a gray area. Like, if it is an injury or not, we don't know. It's just, it is what it is. So, that's going to be the big thing there. There's a lot more to cover, so we're going to be watching out for it. And just avoiding it how we can. All I know is, like, it's a big thing with AB, and I'm hoping, like, if the injury thing is real and the Bucks pretty much still, like, kind of force you to play, then in that case, fuck Tampa Bay, and I think whatever the NFLPA and NFL does, should punch him to like the fullest possible extent they can. So there's that. Um, if AB was lying and this was basically just had like some form of breakdown, like, yeah, you can really play football until you go seek some help, bro. Like, you can't. You gotta. At that point, I'm like. I mean, I had respect for him. Like, now it's like. I'm getting, like. I'm pretty much seeing people saying, like, oh, we should probably come to Baltimore. I'm like, no. Look, even if he. I mean, look, we already got his younger cousin, and he's showing that he is just as talented as his cousin, but as his older cousin, but not. We don't need him in there corrupting pretty much either his cousin or Lamar, because I'm not dealing with I'm not going to deal with that. And if that is the case, that is going to be like that would be his like last chance if he does come to Baltimore. Like, because I don't think we would tolerate that shit at all. Like, he does do if we catch him, because I feel like if it was me, if I were playing the Ravens, I'd be like this. I would tell AB, listen, we'll sign you a contract, but if you get caught slacking once, like lazy or whatever, lacking once, you're done. There's no turn back. We're going to terminate your contract with cause. We'll terminate that contract immediately. Like, we're done. Like, so I'm we're just gonna go ahead and move on from that. Now let's go move on to something that I've not talked about in a while now, and I don't talk about it a ton, and that is, of course, WWE and wrestling. Wrestling, one of the things is about me, I watch pro wrestling kind of regularly, not full blown regularly. I'll watch Raw maybe every once in a while. I'll watch Raw basically. I don't really watch it that much because trying to watch 3 hours of Raw watch the Raws now 3 hours is just too much. I do try to watch SmackDown regularly, like every Friday, because of the stuff going on with Roman Reigns and stuff there. Plus, 2 hours is kind of decent. I've been starting to watch Rampage, AEW Dynamite, and AEW Rampage on Dynamite on Wednesdays and Rampage on Fridays, which is, and that's been pretty good. My thing is a pro AEW, pro WWE thing. Like me, I'm a pro wrestling fan. Like I love like all kinds of pro wrestling I can. So I'll watch like the AEW stuff. I'll watch some of the WWE stuff. I'll watch some like Impact stuff. I'll watch some of the stuff from like some indie stuff. Like I enjoy pro wrestling. I've been enjoying pro wrestling basically since I was a kid. I continue to watch it. And yes, I'm a grown adult, and people are saying like, it's fake or choreographed or whatever, scripted. Like, I think it's better than pretty much watching like the fucking Bachelorette or some of these reality shows and whatever. Besides, I'll ever watch something that is scripted or choreographed or fake, if you will, than some bullshit reality show. So, y'all can suck a dick. So but recently, WWE has released a number, pretty much last year released a number of talents from last year. Among them was Adam Cole. Adam Cole leaving WWE, like either leaving WWE or getting their releases from WWE, getting released by WWE. Among them was, let's see, we can go through a list like Tyler Breeze, Fandango, Ruby Riott, now Ruby Soho, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Daniel Bryan, Christian Cage, pretty much he returned at the Royal Rumble. He's now at AEW now. Now, and like, basically, and much more. And, yeah, it was like, oh, I can't remember, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, among them, and many more talent on not just the main roster, but also NXT. And a lot of things were deemed budget cuts according to the higher-ups, which is the WWE's president Nick Khan and like Vince McMahon, I think, and like their VP of Talent Relations, John Laurinaitis, which is not really, which I kind of deem BS, because here's the thing, you were releasing talent in the middle of a pandemic, and one of the things was you did it at a time where Indian wrestling, after their non-complete college up, there's not many independent wrestling companies right now that are open to do shows, and they can't get booked to do those shows, and can't be able to help fund their families and feed their families and make a living for themselves. So you releasing them at that time was kind of BS. Some actually have now gone back and actually are now competing in AEW. Some are in Impact, and like some have moved on, went to Japan. Some have went to Mexico. Some have went to various promotions. And promotions, like for example, Adam Cole, who is pretty much one of my favorites right now, pretty much has probably some of the best theme songs I've ever heard of. One of them you just heard in the beginning was pretty much was a snippet of his Ring of Honor intro. He pretty much is now in AEW, and he's now a big time player for them. He's now a big time player for them. Daniel Bryan, who was a big time player for them, a former world champion, is now in AEW, and since they've been released, they've been competing in great matches. Bryan Danielson, he's been competing in matches, amazing matches. Heck, he just competed, like the last two matches he just competed in like a 2 free span are probably 5-star class. Both of them are 5-star classes. One of them went a full hour on like free television for the AEW's World Championship against Hangman Adam Page. So, yeah, that's some, like, not only that, like, pretty much big former WWE stars, especially CM Punk, is back now in AEW, if you have not noticed. So, a lot of people, you released a lot of talent, a lot of people, and it made no sense. Some of these guys could be, some of the people you released could have filled in a great amount of, like, roster spots, because right now, there's not much of a tag team scene. Like, some of the people you took out were tag teams. Some people would have helped elevate the upper, from main, like, event spots for, like, those world title pictures. Would have a lot more roster, especially Keith Lee. Should have had a chance at a world title somewhat. Like, somewhat should have been like around a world title spot. Everything is like same thing with like Karrion Kross. It's just actually a big release. He was at the time and the NXT champion, and he had all the great presentation of like a big monster, like force, like pretty much looked like entrance. He had pretty much his girlfriend, who was a piece, pretty much a big part of like the entrance, and part of like the whole gimmick he has, and like his appearance, like everything screamed like big main event talent. And instead of that, you pretty much, but when you bring him up, you brought in NXT, was perfect. Then you bring him up to the main roster, and he pretty much turns into, you pretty much, in his first match on the main roster, you have him lose to Jeff Hardy. Who probably would have been like a big name you could have just used to elevate. I'm gonna be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I just need to grab a charger real quick, and because this thing is pretty much getting, this computer is kind of around 10%, so I want to get a plug real quick. So we're gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back. Alright, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I just had to move some things and had to get the plug in. So we're back. We were talking about the whole situation with WB and basically them like pretty much releasing about everybody and like all of the things they've done. When we last left off, we were talking about Karrion Kross and him pretty much how pretty much they end up they pretty much when he came into the main roster, he ended up losing to Jeff Hardy like in his debut match. And Jeff like cheated to win technically. Alright, Jeff cheated to win. So there's that situation. So cheated to win. Then you pretty much had him. Then he lost the NXT title to Samoa Joe. And at TakeOver 36, the last like big takeover. Then you brought him into the main roster and basically you changed his whole gimmick up. Pretty much made him wear like this gladiator type stuff, which did not resonate well. The entrance vibes didn't work. Basically, a lot of things involving pretty much you just took like the mystique of him. You just pretty much made him like just some regular character guy and pretty much ruined him. Like, because I think a few months later they pretty much released him because, well, your gimmick was terrible, but you guys created that character. The character he had originally was way better. Keith Lee, you pretty much tried changing up a bunch of things, like one of the gimmick, like you guys, like pretty much Keith Lee in NXT was pretty much the best version of himself. Then when you brought him out here, you pretty much had him wear like a shirt / singlet, because somehow Vince McMahon did not like the fact that, because when he could be in NXT, he was just shirtless. So WWE said, so Vince told him like put on a shirt, which he's a big dude. But I'll just say he just did not like the fact that this man pretty much did not like him being shirtless. So he was like pretty much made him wear like a singlet or like pretty much wrestle with like a shirt on, like a compressive shirt, which that didn't do well. He changed his theme song. He has stopped because of a heart condition, like because I believe of COVID, to be COVID related, I believe. He was gone for a long while. Then you guys bring him back, and he kind of renamed himself as Keith Bearcat Lee, which is actually like a reference to a Bearcat, a wrestler who was monitored as Bearcat. I don't know the full name, but he's like a recognized black world champion back in like the 50s, I believe. Back in the 50s. And just didn't resonate well. And then they released him as well. I think he'll be I think he'll come back in this year. I'll be surprised if he comes into AEW. I'm like, yep, it's it. I'm like him coming back in 2022. I'm not surprised if they actually give him an opportunity and he's around for world title scene. Which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually does compete in a world title scene or a TNT title scene. So at AEW, or he becomes a big player in Impact. So there is a variety of things there. There's a lot of things I'm like, WWE has basically just took the bag, dropped it, fumbled it, and this done a bunch of things. Like, pretty much, I don't know why they're doing a lot of match releases. A lot of things they're saying is like they're trying to sell themselves off to who? I don't know. I believe there has been rumors that they were trying to sell themselves to Fox, basically Fox company. So I guess that's going to be the case. Like they're going to sell themselves to Fox. Some say Disney gain WB, which I mean, there's a lot of things. I feel like they are trying to sell themselves, which I don't know what it is. But to me, I'm like, because I think next month I believe next month they're going to be competing. They're going to have a match at an event in Saudi Arabia again next month. Like another crown jewel thing, which is pretty much a glorified house show. But it's just like, since it's in Saudi Arabia, they pretty much make it a big live event thing. So, I don't know what they're going to do there. I mean, right now, like, they're now stopping COVID testing. And, like, the moment they actually announced that 2 days later, like, Roman Reigns, their Universal Champion, they're pretty much the face of the company, ends up testing positive for COVID. And that's the big red flag, because here's the thing, Roman Reigns has been diagnosed with leukemia before twice. One point he had to relinquish the Universal title once prior to pretty much getting treated for leukemia when it came back for the second time. So the last person you kind of don't want to get COVID ends up getting COVID, which ends up changing up the roster, ends up changing like their day one pay-per-view, which was their first big event they had on Saturday, and they ended up having Brock Lesnar winning the belt, so winning the WWE heavyweight title from Big E in his which was a fatal four-way between Big E, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Bobby Lashley. Ends up being turned into a fatal five-way, and Brock Lesnar ends up winning the thing, and actually ends up hitting Big E, who was the WWE heavyweight champion. That caused a bit of an uproar, but because Big E was kind of didn't get booked enough to be wasn't booked to be like a strong champion to lose the title. I mean, to me, it's like, it is kind of like, I kind of don't think he should have lost the title. That's fine if you're going to make him lose the title, but make someone else take the pin, not Big E. Like, have someone else, not Big E, get pinned. Like, that is, if you want to make sure he's strong, it's like, he has like a justifiable reason, like, hey, Brock, you won, but you didn't pin me. You pinned someone else. He has a legitimate reason to actually fight Brock for the title, which actually he's not going to fight him. And there's the thing now, it's actually going to be Bobby Lashley facing off against Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, which is kind of a dream match. That's kind of something I'm probably going to watch Royal Rumble, see that fight, because actually that has been a match that Bobby Lashley has been asking for like 3 years since he returned to WWE back in 2018, I believe. So that is a big match he's been wanting. So everything is, what are you going to do now? Since the plan was at day one, it was Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title. So now the question is, since Brock's the WWE Heavyweight Champion, what are they going to do with Roman? Him and Roman? I don't know now. I've heard rumors that they're going to make like a triple threat match between Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Drew McIntyre for the WWE for like both belts on the line, like a winner take all thing at WrestleMania, which would be a surprise, which would be a big match. Don't get me wrong, that would be a big match, and that would be an interesting thing. Or it's Roman versus Brock, winner take all, 1-on-1, which is another big match, which I wouldn't mind seeing either. So there is a variety of things that can happen. So either way, I'm excited. I'm kind of like WWE is like I'm kind of just like being indifferent with it. I'm like, to me it's just like it is what it is. Like with this company, I'm not like someone who's like fuck WWE. I'm all in for AEW. Like, I mean, I think AEW's good. I'm just like AEW's good. AEW is kind of doing the right thing, getting good matches out there. I'm just kind of just like, whatever. I'm just like, I'm kind of like I'm like 70 for AEW over with WWE versus WWE. I'm kind of 70-30 on favoring AEW more than WWE because of like, it's pretty much like indie wrestling, but it's like you're kind of watching indie wrestling, but it's shown a more national level. So I'm like, whatever. It's, to me, I'm indifferent to it. I'm just like, to me, it's just, right now, it's like, WWE has to make some big changes right now. They're doing a ton. I'm on them is pretty much, they actually did, like yesterday, they ended up releasing a bunch of names. I'm on them. Actually, Wednesday, they ended up releasing William Regal, Road Dogg, and a couple backstage names, producers, some like talent and stuff. Like, for example, one of the first ones, William Regal being released, he was a big part of WWE. A lot of people that came in, that are in the company or came into the company, were pretty much brought in because of William Regal, pretty much watching them while they were in the indies and pretty much like helping them get that foot in the door, if you will. And he's been played a big role with WWE for a while now. Earlier on, and I cannot speak. Just take him a second. There was a point in William Regal's life during the mid to late 90s. He actually had like substance abuse issues, and WWE helped him out of that. And to me, I'm like, out of all the people you would release from the company, you would release William Regal. That is like, because to me, I thought that would be like one of those people like he's there forever. Like, because he was the NXT general manager, and he actually played that role brilliantly. He was probably the best like modern like GM. He pretty much just didn't do anything. He just didn't do anything crazy. He just pretty much helped make the matches, and pretty much not getting involved. He was pretty much he was a great like face GM. He pretty much was a face GM. He was pretty much like played a neutral role. Pretty much made sure every match happens. He's pretty much going to be known for like his war games, like him like calling out war games, like war games, like that's pretty much like that yell, like pretty much. And right around November, which is actually unfortunate now because now every November, like you kind of waiting for hear William Regal say the calling it out when there's two teams of four facing off against each other. Oh, we know what the time it is, but now it's that William Regal isn't there anymore, it's now going to lose it. That's going to be sad because. But one of the things is, it's kind of like one of those last. Some of the coaches they kind of released were like, it's pretty much among like the last like vestiges of like the older NXT, like the NXT that Triple H helped rebuild in like 2013, and made it to, and over those years they made it into this big super, like kind of big like the what like peak kind of like peak 2014 PWG, where pretty much you had indie stars from all around the world in like one place, all wrestling together, having pretty much the best matches possible, which WB did, because they had like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, they had The Rival, which is now FTR in AEW. Like, so much stuff, like, bringing in people like Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, recently Drew McIntyre, after he did his rounds in the Indies, after he was released from WWE, like, back in 2011, like 2012, 2013, I believe, and, just recently, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, those guys, like, bring them in, like, they've brought in, like, people from, like, UK, like, Pete Dunne right now, Walt Falter, Ilya Dragunov, who's in WWE right now. They brought in Timmy Thatcher, which sadly he recently got released, and like Only Lurkin, Danny Burch. Like, there's a list of people, list of names I can just round off, and they brought them in. Like, there's so many like talents that sadly are gone. That pretty much, which at its time, like when you watched it from, I say 2014, 2015 to like I say mid, like around I say early to mid 2020, it's every like show from like the episode on like NXT TV to the takeovers, about every match you've seen was kind of just constantly hit after hit after hit. Just, so if I have any favorite takeover matches, I say the top 3 or 4 I've personally, like, I've either watched via replay or watched live. My 3 favorites has to be Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano take over New York. I'm kind of a homer for that one. Sasha Banks versus Bayley take over Brooklyn, which is a classic, which is pretty much one of the first classics everyone should watch. And the one that pretty much got me really watching NXT a ton, because this is like the first time I've seen this first NXT show I've ever seen. And actually, you can actually find, and I actually did a live reaction of this show, NXT TakeOver Dallas. That is Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That is a absolute classic from start to finish, because that's the first time I've ever seen like Sami Zayn seen a Sami Zayn show. Because the thing is, back then, if you wanted to see NXT, you had to watch it on the network. It was not on USA like now. Before USA, it was on WWE Network, and it's the first time I've got the network. That was the first time I actually seen NXT live. That show was amazing. I'll say this, that's because NXT did a lot of things with wrestling, tag team wrestling, made tag team wrestling great in WWE again. It made women's wrestling great. pretty much help make women's wrestling in WWE greater for the better. Especially what they have now, pretty much better for the better. And like pretty much made a lot of names that were known in the indies bigger in like WWE. So it did a lot of names. It's just since early 2020, late 2020, early 2021, Vince McMahon pretty much was like, okay, pretty much took Triple H off, which was his product, which is kind of his baby, is like child, and he pretty much, Vince McMahon just scorpion snatch is like, all right, I'm turning it into my own thing, and we've got NXT 2.0, which pretty much has like erased everything that Triple H built at the time, and is now just a shell of like what it was. Because I've been to the NXT show, because I actually been to like an NXT live event myself back in 2017. It's like 2016, 2017. I actually have the date. I actually have the photos. Actually, I have some photos of the event myself, and it was a fun time. Like, that was a fun event going there, and it was held in Broadband Arena. It was actually pretty good. Like, they are pretty much, all the shows are like amazing. Like, I actually have a photo of after a show with Johnny Gargano, and that is actually been so that's one of the things about that is like NXT's practically gone now. All its life is like not much of anything now. So if WWE is planning to sell the whole company, because I mean that's why I wouldn't be surprised if I heard it, but it is just weird that you're pretty much have released so much talent, which could be like part of the main roster, and could be world champ, part of a world, either the world champion team, or could be like a world champion for you guys. And pretty much, and if the main thing of you guys, of course, in WWE's mindset is you need to make money. Those guys can pretty much make money. Could have made money, but WB, according to WWE President Nick Khan, who I'm going to assume is probably a fucking moron, they don't move the needle. Like guys like Adam Cole, like guys like Samoa Joe, guys like don't move the needle to y'all. I say this, Samoa Joe got released yesterday. I'm like, I feel bad for him because he actually brought him in like 2015, 2016, and I saw, and Samoa Joe, I love Samoa Joe, like in Impact or the old TNA days. Like, that dude pretty much is like if I wanted to be a wrestler, that is probably on like the styles I would be influenced by. Because I'm influenced by his style. I'm kind of influenced by like a bit of like Kyle O'Reilly's style as well, like the striking stuff. Especially like Ring of Honor Kyle O'Reilly. Especially him and like RED. So it's like those are. So it's like that is He was like one of my top 5 favorite wrestlers, and in fact they released him last in 2020, in like 2021, but Triple H ended up like, hey, y'all aren't using him in the roster? Jeez, let me have him in NXT, and then it's like he ended up coming back in NXT. He ends up winning the title from Karrion Kross, and then like 2 weeks after he won the belt, he had to relinquish it, and because of an undisclosed injury, he ends up having to relinquish it, and eventually he got released yesterday. So it's unfortunate now that he's going to be released, but I know saying like, either A, he's going to come back to Impact. I'm hoping for 2 things. If he's coming back to Impact, Impact's going to get a big boost from this. Or he can come back from whenever Ring of Honor comes back from their hiatus and plays a role for them. Or he goes to AEW, and if that happens, since, I mean, right now AEW has pretty much Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, also known as Dean Ambrose, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and there's a possibility of Johnny Gargano coming in, and much more. All I'm saying is this: if you're WWE, if Samoa Joe, you pretty much let go of Samoa Joe, and he becomes a big name in AEW. GG, that's it. GG, you're done. It's like at that point, you know what? Because I kind of said GG to WWE because I actually watched All Out last year and All Out in September, and I just said to myself, as soon as Adam Cole came out and Daniel Bryan, I was like, that's it, GG, it's done. WWE pretty much about to get blown out. I'm saying this right now, the way AEW ended 2022 out, especially with Adam Cole now being teamed up with Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, which was the original Undisputed Era, and Bryan Danielson's having match after match after match, having some 5-star classics, 2 pretty much, for the AEW World Title with Hangman and Page. What is it going to look like when right now AM Punk's pretty much having probably one of the all-time best feuds right now with MJF, who is a great talented young individual, probably one of the best heels ever, who pretty much has one of the best promos right now in the game right now. If you haven't heard a promo from him, my goodness, if you're part of PC safe work stuff, don't watch MJF, because if he will say things that will be roasting people for sport, and it's fucking hilarious. I fucking love it. So if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But if you do, go give it a watch, because it is personally hilarious, because he is personally great at that. So yeah, that's my opinion on that whole thing with WWE. It's right now, AEW's doing good. WWE needs to do better. Do better, man. You guys should be better from what you should be. Because, yeah. Okay, moving on. We're going to go ahead and move on. I guess the last topic, for the last topic, we gotta talk about, we gotta bring up I say Forecastle. Let's talk about Forecastle. If you don't know, if you're wondering what is Forecastle, Forecastle is quite possibly, let's see here. Forecastle is, let me see if I have it on my story. Let me see if I can find the story. I'm gonna go find my story. No, let me see if I can find my stories here. No, that's not it. We're gonna go find your story history archive. There it is. Jeez. Yes, so Forecastle, it is the premier music festival event we're here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's held at Waterfront Park about every year. It didn't happen in 2020 because I don't think it happened in 2020 because of COVID, and I don't know if they did anything last year because I think maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I'm not sure. But this year they're coming back. They're actually in May, and May is going to be at the end of May, May 27th, May 29th, Friday, May 27th to Sunday, May 29th. They are going to have like a bunch of people coming through. There's a bunch of names coming through. The main, the big show on Friday will be Louisville's own Jack Harlow coming over, along with Earl Sweatshirt and Wale will be at Fort Castle event on Friday. Saturday, there's going to be like Tame Impala coming through. And on Sunday, Tyler, the Creator, and I believe Black Pumas will be actually at the event as well. So, on Sunday. So, that is going to be a big day. I'm definitely planning on attending that event because I'm not really a music festival fan, but since Jack Harlow is pretty much a local fan, I'm probably sure the entire city, like all my friends, pretty much going to be there. So, I'm probably going to attend that. So yeah, you guys will probably see me, but who knows? Like, who knows what happens from now till that event? Because actually, who knows? Because your boy's gonna be in the gym heavy. He's gonna be going to the gym quite heavy. So you're gonna see your boy a little thinner, a little leaner. I mean, I'm still gonna have the same kind of similar haircut, similar beard. Might have it trimmed down a little cleaner because your boy kind of tries to keep this thing clean. I'm gonna keep this. Or I might have myself clean shaven, a little clean shaven. So yeah, it depends on what you see. So yeah, we got So yeah, that's about it on that one. I guess the last thing is, I think there is one last thing we can talk about, and I guess we should bring this up because this is like one of the biggest things that was in the news. Oh, we have breaking news. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. The three men that were found guilty of the murder of Ahmaud Arbery has been sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years. Actually, it says here, Travis Michael and his son and his father, Gregory McMichael, have both received life in prison plus 20 years without the possibility of parole. Their neighbor, William Roddy Bryan Jr., was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years. All three men were found guilty on multiple counts of murder for the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man who was fatally shot while out on a jog on February 23rd, 2020. So they are going to be sent to jail. So that is a big announcement there, and that is possibly finally the family as now finally going to be, now the three men deserved life in jail, especially the one guy who actually took the video himself deserved a life sentence, and actually also served chance of parole because he joined the fatal case. He actually joined the chase. So right now that is going to be okay. Yes, it is actually Travis and Greg Michael were sentenced to life in prison without parole. It is actually William Roddy Bryan, the third man who's going to be sentenced to life in prison, but he has the possibility of parole after 30 years since he actually took the was recorded the footage himself, he will be facing jail time. All I know is this. All I will say is to pretty much the McMichaels, all I'm gonna say is don't drop the soap when you're in jail, my friends. All I'm gonna say is, well, actually, all three of them, especially the dude who recorded, even though he recorded it, all three of y'all don't drop the soap. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all do not drop that soap. That's all I'm gonna say about that, because y'all were wrong for doing that, and y'all deserve jail time. It's a despicable act. For that despicable act. So, but finally there was been justice served. And hopefully that's about it. I guess now this is like the real final one, because I guess this is the last topic, since we're kind of speed running through a couple topics. That line just came up as like breaking news, because I just pulled up Twitter and just saw this. But the last big one I actually do want to talk about is, actually I'm gonna go for this one because this one's faster than the other one. And I actually made a tweet about, and this is something that was was kind of talked about, was kind of, if I have it, where is it? Yeah, it was pretty much this show where, basically, it's a podcast called Fresh and Fit Podcast. If you don't know what it is, the Fresh and Fit Podcast, this show talks about a lot of issues, like with the manosphere. It's pretty much like a red pill channel, kind of like on the red pill, like the alpha male channel. Like a lot of the stuff now, like to me, it's like here's my opinion on like the red pill, like the manosphere stuff. Here's the thing. I can agree with like people like men, such as myself, pretty much getting on doing like podcasts or something where we just talk about men stuff, talk about issues us men deal with on a regular basis. We should like having some form of outlet. I can understand us men, we should have an outlet of some way, shape, or form to speak our minds and discuss things and have communication with one another. The issue, but of course there are some good things involving that. But you'll find there are varieties of channels that make these things where they're pretty much going crazy into like this culture of like hating on women. And Fresh and Fit's like one of those examples that you've seen where they have pretty much a lot of like this, unlike a lot of shows, like a lot of the people they invite on, majority of them are like these Instagram models. Their show is like based in Miami, Florida. So a lot of the IG models they find are pretty much in the Miami area. A lot of them are kind of like aren't not gonna have the best opinions on stuff, aren't gonna be the best things to talk about. Most of them actually kick off like women on the channel, like the light skinned dude on their channel, which I'm gonna post a photo up here. Myron, who is the host, he actually had this like back and forth. He ended up having this like back and forth with one of the guests they had on was Asian Doll, who is a rapper who was a popular female rapper. Is not what a lot of people know her for pretty much having a relationship with the late King Von, who was another rapper, and basically they had her on the podcast. And the thing is, she ended up walking off their podcast after her and and Myron, who is the host, had this like back and forth conversation, because like she was having like this conversation with like another woman on the podcast, and basically she just basically was like kind of like left because Myron was like kind of like getting upset because of like her like sort of interrupting her, which is disdain. And yeah, this became a big mainstream thing. Like a lot of people retweet and liking this and doing all this and a lot of stuff, and it became this big thing. And eventually there was like a lot of quotes, like conversation where they then started talking about like pretty much them like pretty much their dating lifestyles, and they kind of ended up saying some things about them not dating like in black women. Pretty much kind of spoke like disparaging things, and like they went say a couple things, and they are kind of lame for saying this stuff. Like they are really dumb on the bullshits. Like I pretty much criticize. I kind of just hear them, and I'm like kind of like it's kind of dumb to me because here's the thing to me. If you say you're an alpha male, like, the thing about alpha males is this. You say it if you say all the time, like, I'm an alpha male, I'm an alpha male, I'm an alpha male, you're not an alpha male. Real alpha males usually act before saying anything. Like, if you think about, like, Mike Tyson is probably an alpha male. I say an alpha male in theory, like, because the man proves it through his actions more than he does his words. Like, I say The Rock is kind of like an alpha male. Like, the man works out constantly. The man does a lot of, like, all these, like, working on all these movies, doing all these projects, businesses, and all this stuff. I look at him as, like, an alpha male. As an alpha male, more or less. Like, he's one of those people. Like, that is... There's a lot of things, like, to me, it's like, AIDS do say a lot of stuff on different things. Like, I'm pretty much, to me, I never understood, like, the red pill mentality, like, that red pill stuff. Don't get me wrong, there are certain things about red pill I kind of like, but it has now, like, turned into, like, this thing where it's basically helped fund, like, the incel culture, like, the culture that, like, is crazy, like, they're, like, have taken over that movement. Like, it's pretty much, like, started practically, taking it on a life of its own, and is just using, like, the red pill, like, that red pill thing to just bash women constantly. Like, I get it, like, some of the feminism ran the straight, I say, like, there's some things about feminism that are good. I can understand women, some of y'all deserve equal rights, but some of y'all ask too much things. I say, men, we have some issues we need to discuss, and some of us need to have certain liberties, but there are certain things we kind of need to back off on. My opinion, abortion, with a majority of the congressmen, need to stay out of this whole shit about abortion. That is not our business. Just back off on that. To me, my opinion with abortion is pretty much simply this. It's not my choice in a matter. Not really my say. Not really my choice. If you, ladies, if you choose to get the abortion, look, I mean, if I'm able to pay for it, I will pay for it. However we have to do this. But other than that ain't really my business. That's your body, your choice. End of the story to me. Getting that out there. But Fresh and Fit in particular, they are really have been exposed for a lot of things. Particularly, they've had issues with like one small small YouTube channel called Playback that, or pretty much around the same age as me, pretty much criticize them for some of the stuff they're talking about. Like, cause same thing with Abba and Preach. They have actually called them out on certain things, which actually caused like a huge drama thing earlier in 2021, like in August. Even August, like Abba Preach pretty much debated over like the legalization of like it should pretty much paying for the box, paying for the punani should be legal or not. Personally, for me, as someone who has paid for said services, I think it kind of should be regulated. It should be legal somewhat. I think it should be like regulated to me. Like, to me, I'm not saying if sex work isn't for you, don't do it. It's a choice. Like me, I done it before. I've chosen to have paid for services every once in a while because, personally, to me, I am not the best at spitting games with girls. I don't have that much confidence in my abilities to talk to a girl and make moves. So I pretty much chose to pay for the box. That's pretty much my reasoning why I've done it. It may be different for someone like you. So I'm not telling you guys to go out and pay for box. I'm not saying like do I think it should be legal some way? Yes. I mean, I think it should be like women who do, like a lot of women have found ways of making that a business. Some people pretty much made it a career. Women have chosen to make it a career. And I mean, like I wouldn't date an escort. I would pay to have sex with them. I wouldn't pay for a dating. I mean, would I date like OnlyFans model, like OnlyFans, like stuff with OnlyFans? Let them make their money. Like, it's not really our business. Just mind your business. If you don't want to pay for it, don't pay for it. And don't criticize them don't openly criticize when you pay for it. It's like, for example, I'm probably sure. So they had this debate. Oh, they actually had them on the channel. They talked about it. I think Abba Priest wanted to go back and look into that video. Pretty much talk about it. Like, pretty much to me, like thing about Fresh and Fit, it was kind of like they didn't like paying for box because you might not get their best, or pretty much you don't feel respected when you do it. Like, I think it depends on how much, what you're paying for the services. Like I said, if you're paying like $50 for paying like $50 or something for like, I mean, if you're paying like at least 100 or less, you're not going to get the best service. Really, the best service, and you're not gonna get like the best type of women. But if you're paying like $1,000, $2,000 for like 3-4 hours with a beautiful escort for an escort, you're going to get like probably the best service you'll ever get in your life, guaranteed. So, and the thing is, like, a lot of men who are of high value or rich people, CEOs, millionaires, billionaires, like pro athletes, pay for box because it's much more convenient and easier, and it's more ease of access. So that's pretty much why a lot of men do it. That's why I do it. I've paid for it. I'm pretty much am taking a literal break from it because I'm not trying to do it not ever again, but at least not do it as often as I used to. Like in 2022, my goal is like, at least if I'm going to do it, it's going to be like a once in a blue moon type thing, like when I'm like a celebration type thing, like Like maybe I got a big, maybe I like, I don't know, I just bought something, I don't know, I saved up money, or maybe I cleared off debt. Maybe I cleared off a debt, like maybe I just cleared off this big credit card, or like one big debt I was paying, and oh, I finally got this money. I got this money. Right, I'm gonna go celebrate, and I'm gonna use this free money to the extra money I now have to. I can use that to binge. Some. I'm not saying that's the best healthy way. There's other ways of doing it. Like you could just pay to buy some new clothes. Some cases you can use that to buy some. Go to the mall, shop, and stuff. So, hold on 1 second. Okay, we're back. So my sister thought I was actually on the phone with somebody. I was actually recording. So, yeah, that's the thing. So this was a debate. Like Evan Priest wanted to go through like debate that pretty much run back this whole thing of all sex work. And the main thing is like thing about Fresh and Fit, they took that criticism and they thought they were attacking him and were trying to like clout farm over him because they were like the new kids on the block and stuff, and like to the YouTube and like Manosphere game, and pretty much got criticized over it and pretty much attacked Evan Preach and was like, we are better than you guys, we make more money than you guys, we're famous than you, and it's like saying all this wild stuff, and then pretty much like attacked Preach is like heritage, and like pretty much talked some parishing series about his wife, so his wife and his heritage, and pretty much where it came from, which is like Haiti, under Haiti, and like pretty much challenged him to like box them, challenge him to like box against them. So yeah, that was a box against them, and basically preaching and accepting that as you have a right to. You have a right to like stand up for yourself, and like stand up for yourself, especially for your family. And eventually ABBA actually like Fresh and Fit like kind of like tried to back out of it, and I'm giving like an apology, which was like half-hearted, and basically it was like, and that's like one of those things about it is like they have said like a bunch of things. They claim they're an alpha, like if they're like an alpha, like usually if someone's, and like they basically have gotten criticism by a lot of people all around YouTube, and a lot of things has come around until like recently. One of the things is like a lot of things about like Fresh and Fit, they pretty much don't, they just say a bunch of, I say a lot of BS to me. Like to me, I'm like looking at it like I don't look at them like anything important. Like to me, it's like they say a lot of dumb stuff. Like they pretty much, like an order about yourself as I value man, like guys live like 1,000 women or some bullshit, like some dumb shit. Like it's weird, like some dumb shit. That's some dumb shit is like to me. That's dumb. I think they, like the thing about Myron is like, you say you're a high value man, you don't pay for box, but you're pretty much, but the dude has a profile on a Seeking Arrangements website, like a sugar daddy website, so you're on that. That's one. Number two, pretty much dude Walter, he pretty much say the same thing, like he don't pay for box, yet pretty much one of his like recent girlfriends, if you don't know, is actually a sugar baby. No cap. Yeah, DJ Academics actually come on that show once before, and actually called him out for pretty much his girlfriend, dating his girlfriend, who is a sugar baby. I mean, this girlfriend who's a sugar baby because they went out on a date on a yacht. And on a yacht, that's one thing. Like there was like one video he did like a while back where I think a while back he actually Fresh, which I believe Walter, who is like the dark skinned brother, he pretty much has a he has a pretty much a he pretty much has a he has a let's see, he did a video where he was trying to like a dating story, like he was like it was like one day he met like an NBA player who was like looking for like a party. Somebody they ran into each other. He's like, "Hey man, I'm trying to find the best. I'm trying to look for this party like on the best side of town. Like you know where the best place is? It is like, oh yeah, I can help you out. I got one to this party here. Like I was like, cool. Like, I think you're an NBA player. Like, so, you're an NBA player. He's like, oh, what do you have? Like, what do you see? And it's like this funny, and it's like this stupid ass thing, like. And he's like, they're both going through each other's Instagrams and stuff. And it's like, oh, you know her? Oh, that's, no, this girl? Like, oh, that's, we fucked the same girl? Oh my god, like, on some dumb shit. And then he's like, and then it's like, the NBA heroes, I'm like, oh, I'm at this mansion party, like, you got, it's like tomorrow or some shit. Like, you wanna come to it? I'm like, sure. It's like, and like, NBA goes to like, his NBA players party and stuff. And stuff. And somehow he ends up, the NBA player, and he has like these free girls come up to him, and then dude ends up having like saying he had a free something with the free girl. I'm like, it's like this is one of the things like, dude said he had a free something, and it was like with free girls. I'm like, wait a minute, how do you have a free something with free girls? Like, usually I mean you smash like two of them, and one of them was left on, or those girls had a threesome, and you were in a corner beating your beats, bro. Like, they're at, like, the Batman, what did you say? You had a foursome, not a threesome? So I'm like, and here's the thing, like, do you not think, like, those girls at that mansion party weren't being paid? Like, you aren't surprised by this at all? Like, so, there's, like, a lot of things about it, like, they were dumb about. Now, this is something about them that if you want to know, they recently were kind of using like YouTube's like copyright system, and we're giving like copyright strikes to like all these channels that criticized them over years. And the thing about YouTube's copyright system is they are kind of hard to deal with. For example, Toei, with their copyright system, they are using copyright system. One of the things about it, if YouTube is their YouTube, YouTube doesn't take kindly if you abuse their copyright system and put fraudulent copyright claims, versus that is actually fair use. So, yeah, like, speaking of which, if they actually do find this podcast episode, and they actually find these clips of me, first of all, if Fresh and or Fit, you guys are watching this, hey there, I'm criticizing you guys, and this is actually, and what I'm saying, some of the photos, and maybe some clips I may use, is going to be on here, and this is all in the realm of fair use. So, if you want to come at me, please, I would love for y'all to come at me. I dare you to try to come at me, because I will pretty much find a way to talk. I will find a way to I will let you know. You guys have had YouTube be on your ass. I'm certain I will find a way to work with YouTube to get my shit back on. So, good luck trying. But, so, I don't know. To me, like, a lot of this stuff involving, like, the Manosphere and, like, a lot of stuff they say is kind of dumb. Like, to me, the main thing is, like, you saying, like, that they admit, like, they pretty much openly, like, have admitted multiple times that they actually don't like black women, really. They actually don't date black women, really. And, but the way they kind of said it is, like, it's deemed racist. Like, to me, like, if you ask me, like, what they are saying is their preferences is, like, the preferences, like, if they just said preferences, like, I don't really date black women, don't like dating black women, and they have, like, and they just said something different, then it's like, say something that was, like, more or less along the lines, like, I don't like dating a black woman because, like, I don't really like braids. And it's like, black women with braids, then it's like, oh, that's their preference. They don't like black women with braids. Okay, that's fair. But the way they say it was like, they don't like, well, what they said, they don't like dating like Shaniquas and like all this stuff. It kind of just made it racist. Like, you're really, like, saying some racial, that is, like, you really don't do something with race. Like, to me, like, preference, there's a huge difference with, like, me, I'm like, I don't, because me, I'm very much more on, I like dating, like, more or less, like, white women. To me, if it's just me, I kind of prefer dating, like, white women over, like, black women. Because me, I grew up pretty much in, like, the suburban parts of, like, I pretty much grew up in, like, the suburbs, pretty much more, like, in the upper, not, like, middle class, but, like, sort of around the middle class parts of, like, Nugget. I pretty much, I've went to school in, like, the eastern parts of, like, Jefferson County, so I pretty much, so majority of the students, and I'm around, majority of the people I'm near, is white women, in particular, is pretty much white people. So, to me, based because of, like, where I've grew up at, if there was, like, a black woman or a white woman basically asked me on a date, I would be more inclined to saying yes to the white woman before I would say yes to the black woman. Now, doesn't mean I won't date a black woman. I am pretty much, like, I am fond of all women, of all races, colors, shapes, and size. I don't mind at all. That is what I just said, is based on, is preference. This is where the racism comes in. Like, for example, if basically a woman saying, like, for example, like, if a dude just said, oh, I don't want to date a black, white, I don't want to date, like, say, an Asian woman because, they have, like, this, they are pretty much, their eyes are slanted, or they pretty much, because of, like, their eyes are slanted or something like that, like, because their eyes are slanted, like, you sure, like, your eyes are slanted, like, they're too quiet in nature, and, like, all, some of that other stuff, that's kind of just racism, and that's kind of racist there. I don't know, I'm not that inclined, I'm not that good with race stuff. I'm not trying to push something like that's kind of thing. Or maybe it's like, I don't want to date black women because they're too ratchet or loud. You know, like, fair. That's where it is. That's where it's racist. Like, now there's thing, like, depends on where you meet these women at. A majority of the women that they meet is pretty much are Instagram models. Instagram models, and two, you go out to these nightclubs, of course you're going to find those types of women. That's like selection bias. That's where you're getting it from. Some of the girls you meet are going to be like bottle girls. You're meeting those types of people. It is going to be a bit different. Yeah, it is where the racism gets in there. So I'm like, to me, it is what it is. Like with, I'm just hoping like with audiences to me, if you actually are like someone who is into like Manosphere, is trying to like one, honestly, just avoid listening to those guys. They're pretty much, to me, idiots in general. I personally find them idiots, to be honest. To be honest, if you want to hear anything, I will say, like, I have watched, kind of introduced me to the Playback YouTube channel, which I actually watch, and the Ab and Preach YouTube channel, and both of them do good amounts of stuff, and they've been around for a while now. Like, some of them are around, like, Playback is like, I think, one is like 27, 28, one is like 25, 26, around my age range, so I'm very much around my age range. Gold Sound, they actually do like videos sort of similar, pretty much similar to Ab and Preach, and they pretty much are a pretty good duo, and they pretty much are pretty much a great duo, and they pretty much say a bunch of good things. Like, there are some things, like, there are some podcasts that are good, like here, like I'm not kind of, I mean, anything you guys want to listen to, like any dudes like talk about man issues better, is probably Joe Rogan, like Jordan Peterson. If you're looking for like a local take if you're from Louisville, I definitely recommend searching the Lou Boys podcast. They're they're actually good guys. They do kind of like have some ignorant takes, but actually do talk about dating and relationships and all that stuff. So that is the type of podcast you should go see. That you can go see. Another piece of advice: probably start watching and or listening to some Patrice O'Neal comedy, because some of the stuff he says actually works a whole lot better advice than whatever these guys say. And then what those two would say, to me, they're just kind of dumb. I'm just like, it is what it is at this point. So yeah, because I just said this, like, it's just on that red pill BS, which I personally just find completely stupid. I just personally in particular, like, some of them are extra and some of them are extra. So I'm like, whatever. So yeah, I'm not. So that's gonna be the end of this episode of the podcast. A little on the teeth. We did get over 2.5 hours in. Woo! So we're good, and I'm feeling great about this. So thanks, guys, very much for watching this episode of Jam Money Talks podcast. This has been episode number 24, Kobe episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please be sure to give this bad boy a like. Follow Jam Money Talks podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot of content out for 2022, in particular especially with on the YouTube. We're going to have a lot more content outside of the podcast. We're going to be doing also like variety of maybe some live. We might do maybe some live episodes, maybe here and there, but we're going to try at least keep the episodes regular, out on a regular basis. I kind of hope to do some on at least on Wednesdays. I say at least on Thursdays, maybe. I say on Thursdays at best. Like, try to get them out on Thursdays. This one came out a little later because because yesterday I just didn't really want to record much. I was kind of busy with my own personal business, so yeah, that's pretty much the reason why. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, like I said, give it a like, share, subscribe, and all of the good stuff. Be sure to follow me on all the social media. Keep up with what I'm doing. If you guys want to keep up with what I'm doing right now, just going to be heading off to be working out and getting right for at least for July. Getting at least right for July 29th, which is actually going to be the premiere of the Black Adam movie. I'm actually trying to at least get into that Black Adam cosplay because of that, because I am a huge fan of The Rock. So I want to at least do a cosplay of Black Adam for that. So that being said, thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're about to get out to and start 2022 off good. And let's say 2022 is going to be a big year, and you guys do not want to miss it. Till then, my friends, goodbye and good night.